hour. Reverend Al Sharpton leading a protest against hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman yesterday here in New York. Sharpton and his organization, the National Action Network, picketing outside of Ackman's New York City office, claiming that Ackman is responsible for the resignation of former Harvard President Claudine Gay. Sharpton claiming the effort to oust her was really about stopping diversity, equity, and inclusion. Watch.
They used her as a scapegoat to fight DEI. We would not have to have DEI if we didn't have DENY. We were denied. I want to come to his office and let him know that we will fight him. He's declared war against all of us.
Ackman has said that he'd be delighted to sit down with Sharpton, but could not meet with him yesterday because he's currently out of the country. Todd. And what is so interesting is what all Sharpton's doing is picking up on Claudine Gay's excuse. Well, this is racially motivated. No, this is because you mismanaged a multi-billion-dollar corporation and university, which is Harvard, and it's because it was found out that you're a plagiarist.
100%. You nailed the answer. The only thing I would add to that is the other reason that she was fired was because of that congressional testimony where she embarrassed her school, she embarrassed alums, and caused irreparable damage to the Harvard brand. But putting all that aside, let's say he was trying to get rid of Claudine Gay because he's trying to destroy DEI. That's a win because DEI, one, is horrible for businesses, and two, DEI is going the way of the dodo. You've seen DEI departments be cut at companies over the course of the last couple months. DEI, administrators be cut as well. Wall Street and corporate America is waking up to the fact that this is a bad thing, not a good thing. Anytime you have equity is not equality. We all want equality. Equity is guaranteed the same outcome, and that doesn't work in capitalist America.
Well, and the push, which is happening to your point in corporations, but also which is now, it looks like it's going to be happening at these universities as well, not just Harvard. I think this is one of the first shoes to drop, is you want the best candidate. You want somebody that's the most qualified for the job. Because really, this isn't about Claudine Gay. This is about the students of Harvard. Yeah. And anybody that's in that position should be serving the students and serving the university and doing its best for the students. And she was doing what was best for herself. And she was overly lawyered up. Again, sorry to my two lawyer friends today, but she was overly lawyered during that congressional testimony. She refused to say, to Todd's point, I'm glad you bring this up, she refused to say that it was problematic that you had people calling for the death of Jewish students on Harvard's campus.
Yeah, I think when you're that, Cheryl, when you are that dedicated to not saying that something that is so atrocious is wrong, there has to be consequences. And obviously, Bill was going to go after it no matter what. And I think that this has opened up a much broader conversation around DEI. To Todd's point, you do see corporate boardrooms cutting these initiatives because, Cheryl, you're right. We want to make it by the merit of our deliverables. That doesn't mean there haven't been marginalized, societies and pockets of people that we do need to help. No one's saying we shouldn't have some form of help, but to give an award and to say, and this is like California, so much percentage of your board has to be, minority. So much of your board has to be women. When do we say that let's get people and let's focus on these people, but not have quotas?
Why don't they get up there and say, okay, well, then somebody on the board has to be Jewish? And so, that's the thing. Like, where does it end? And that's the issue too, because at some point you're gonna run out of road and run out of positions. And now you've got Mark Cuban weighing in on all of this, right? He says that diversity is good for business, and the loss of DEI-phobic companies is his gain. And this is prompting Elon Musk to respond to Mark Cuban, saying DEI is literally the definition of racism. And Musk also asking Cuban, quote, when will there be a short white Asian woman on the Dallas Mavericks? And then Ackman responds to Cuban and says DEI is not about diversity, equity, or inclusion. Trust me, I fell for the same trap that you did. And there was a very, very, very long post that Bill Ackman put on X. And he specifically says, I was wrong about DEI. Boy, I have learned my lesson. It's not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Because he did support DEI initiatives going into this. And Ackman says, my eyes are open now.
And that's the perfect response, though, from Musk, because it underscores how you cannot have DEI in basketball or in any other profession. You need the best people in there because it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the team. It doesn't help the people that should have gotten the job. And quite frankly, it doesn't help the people that ultimately do get the job. If you want to achieve the quote-unquote laudable goals of DEI, you have to start at the very, very bottom when they're young. You have to increase the education. Make it so that everybody gets the same education. That is officially leveling the playing field.
Yeah, and again, going back to doing what's best for the university and for the students.
That's right.
And, you know, let's just not forget the fact it's called the Harvard Corporation.
Right. I love that.
That's the entity that we're talking about here. And now Ackman and others are saying that the board needs to go because it was, in particular, it's Penny Pritzker,
yes,
who is the Governor Pritzker of Illinois. That's his sister. She's the one that led the search and the hiring of Claudine Gay, who had a thin resume, who, by the way, it's now reported, Rebecca, was actually throwing two African-American professors, two men, under the bus to get the job. So it goes and goes and goes with the politicking that happened here behind the scenes.
I mean, is the African-American female, check, you know, so it's like, this is the problem. When we start putting people into box categories, I know we have categories, but when we start putting them in there and say this person's more hireable because it meets our DEI initiative, then you're literally saying it's your immutable characteristics, not the effort of your abilities, your aptitude, and that breeds apathy. That is an apathetic culture and society when it's about what and who I am and not what I do.
Right. It's interesting, too, Todd, because a lot of companies in 2022, and this is on the heels of the George Floyd protests, started to look for, chief diversity officers to add to the C-suite. Those were the first jobs to go in 2023 when we started to have these rounds of corporate layoffs because they realized that job was not really effective. You can have diversity and equity and inclusion as part of your culture as a company. Doesn't mean that it has to be specifically check each box, and there's got to be like a laundry list of, it's not the SATs.
Right. and to my earlier point, how did that help those people that were in a job for a year and are now fired?
And lost their job.
And I guess to Mark Cuban, I'm going to submit a resume to play center for the Mavs. I think he kind of still owns the team a little bit, but, I mean, I'm good under the boards. I'm 5'10" and 3/4.
You think he let me? Can I run the Mavs?
What the heck?
Hey,
Let's
back
go.
in Dallas, people.
I'd like to
You can put me at center.
Come on. All right. We're just getting started this hour. Coming up, markets are on the move ahead of the December job